I want to pull this tweet up so I get this right. Thomas Harrington, right-handed pitching prospect for the Pirates. I just want to make sure that I have the exact, like, what you did, 12 hours ago, 15 hours ago? 7 shutout, 2 hits, 2 Ks, no walks, 63 pitches, 50 strikes in 7 innings, faced 22 hitters. You got to 2 2-ball counts. One of them was a 3-ball count. Did you realize what you were doing in the moment, or was it just like, man, they're swinging early, let's go?
Yeah, I think, I think they just kind of changed their approach from the other night. And, Bubba punched out the world. I think he got to 17 2-strike counts. And so I think they just kind of changed their ideas at the plate and were hacking early. And so we just took advantage of it, just trying to make good pitches.
I love starting these like from the beginning, but we might as well just start last night because it was so much fun to watch and to monitor. And I mean, it felt like you had guys, off balance so early in counts, which is, like super uncommon, right? Guys will get their A swing off early and they'll adjust with 2 strikes, but you have that wonderful mix and you can go to really anything in any count, it seems. Where's your comfort level, on a night like that where, it seems like you're on the stat sheet, seems like you're totally on in terms of going to anything at any time?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think I was on last night. It's just nice when you're in zone with all the different types of pitches. It's really nice just being able to move the ball from, the left side of the plate, up, down, right side of the plate. So, it's just one of those nights where you got everything going for you, and typically those are the pretty good ones.
100%. We're going to get into kind of pitch by pitch on the back half of this, but I want to start, at the semi-beginning here because, first time we chatted, it was about Campbell. And, I know that Campbell has produced some big leaguers at this point and produced a bunch of pro guys as well that are making way through the minor league ranks. But one like little nugget on your bio page at Campbell jumped out to me. Second highest pick, not only in school history, but conference history. Highest pick in conference history was your guy Neto, who went 20-something picks before you. What kind of program is Campbell? That feels like one of the unsung mid-major powerhouses in college baseball.
Yeah, I feel like the coaching staff are just really good at finding, little nuggets, guys that are a little bit underdeveloped in high school. And so they come to Campbell and then they do a great job just trying to develop them. Specifically in the weight room, that's probably where you make the biggest jumps. Going into college, I was 160 pounds. And so just super underdeveloped and got in the weight room, got to work with Matt Rodriguez, who was our strength coach there, and Tyler Robinson, who was our pitching coach, and just kind of made some jumps and just figured out my body, figured out what I do really well and figured out what I don't do well, and then just try to attack those deficiencies.
Was that the first time that you really understood like what your body was doing on the mound when you got to school?
Absolutely, yeah. I didn't know anything about pitching other than just getting on the mound and throwing, something with spin and maybe something with some fade, but they just kind of introduced it all to me and then just try to take it all in.
It's fascinating to be like hearing that story. And I read up on George Kirby at Elon. Like he got to, Elon, were they Big South as well?
They weren't, but they're an hour and a half down the road.
Yeah, right there. So he got to Elon. He was throwing like 87. And this guy leaves, obviously he was doing, I think he did some of the driveline weighted ball stuff. And he got up to, I think he was hitting 97, 98 in college. And he was one of the best arms in the country. You blossomed into one of the best arms in the country, and just looking at those numbers at Campbell, man, they're ludicrous. The thing that you notice level by level, you're not walking anybody. Like, has that always been something that's present for you, or is it, hey, when I was 12 years old, I really had an issue finding the strike zone, but I wanted to make sure I was mechanically sound?
Yeah, not really. Just always kind of been able to throw strikes, and really I just, leave that to just playing different positions in high school and stuff. I really didn't even start pitching until my junior year.
Okay.
Of high school, so just playing shortstop and playing third and making throws from different arm angles and playing football, I think that helped too, just kind of getting a feel for the ball, where it's going. I really do think that's just kind of what helped me get in the zone a lot and throw a bunch of strikes.
So obviously like that would speak to athleticism in the delivery. What do you do to kind of stay athletic? Is it, certain, you're like, I guess aerobic work or whatever it may be, when you're out on the field, or is it, hey, like I'm going to go take ground balls and feel those motions still in year 2 of pro ball?
Yeah, I don't take ground balls anymore. I don't want to catch one off the mouth, but
understood.
But yeah, I definitely just still go out there and throw the football, throw the baseball with different angles. I just try to get out there and move. Still shoot basketball every once in a while too. So
nice.
Just try to do different things that just help me stay athletic and and then it helps me kind of get in the zone too. So it all works.
So you show up to Campbell. You said $160. You leave as a first round pick or a comp A pick, whatever it was. Did you it feels, kind of weird and sort of a cookie cutter question to ask, but did you imagine this happening? But, honestly, you show up, you're 160 pounds. Did you think that you were going to blossom into a first round pick at any point at Campbell?
I think you believe in yourself. I think you believe that, that you can do it. Absolutely. But I don't think you ever really imagine where it can go.
Right.
And it was just really cool to just kind of see the journey and just see my body develop and really just kind of understand the game of baseball a little bit more. Just being around a bunch of great people, a bunch of great teammates, it really helps you. And then you don't even think about it. And then you're sitting, at the house on draft night and you're just waiting for your name to be called. Is really cool. Right.
The green room environment is nowhere close to what it is in the NFL and the NBA. So, all right, you get down to Bradenton for the first time. You spend it off season as a Pirates prospect now. What does that offseason look like that's different from the previous off seasons that you went through?
Yeah, I think the first thing is just figuring out pro ball, getting able to talk to a bunch of the guys at the complex, being around the staff. It's just a little bit different, figuring out how you're going to attack the offseason because the offseason is a really long time compared to college. Most guys play summer ball during college. I didn't. I just kind of took the summer. So that was 3 months, and then the offseason now is, close to 5-6 months. So
right.
Just trying to figure out how you're going to attack it, how you're going to get better each day. Because that's definitely the hardest thing to do is to just stay focused over the course of 5 or 6 months. But yeah, it was really cool because I didn't throw my first first year after the draft. So I had a ton of time, and I think just being around those guys down there and just trying to get comfortable, just trying to figure out what I'm gonna attack in the offseason.
How do you fill that time? Like, is it, even away from the ballpark too, but at the ballpark, how were you kind of going about, this is my full-time job now. You can only throw, 45 minutes to an hour a day, if that. So, you've got a lot of time to kill, man. How'd you go about it?
Yeah, I think the big thing is just, not being in a rush, just hanging around, talking, just having fun, getting to know the guys. That's where you spend a lot of your time. Ping pong, play a lot of ping pong,
right,
and pool down at Pirate City. But yeah, I mean, really just fill your time with golf mostly. Yeah. That's where most of the guys, play, and it's a lot of fun. So we'll get the complex at 9:00, be done by 12, and then
you got an afternoon
golf course, 18 holes every time. So you were playing a little too much golf down there. It's good to kind of get away from it. My game takes a step back when I play too much.
Understood. Yeah, because you probably get in your own head and you get a little frustrated.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, it's pretty clear, and I know we were chatting, when we were trying to coordinate this, and, you mentioned Taylor Davis, who you got to know well at Altoona, and, I've learned is as good with the mental thing as anybody, and you echoed the same sentiment here. And you said something that really fascinated me. When you get to AA, when you get to AAA, everybody's got pretty good stuff here, especially if you're, a 20-something, 22, 23 years old. Chances are what you're doing with your fastball, what you're doing with your slider, with your changeup, all that stuff. The difference is, kind of turning the page, right? And being that mentally present person and not, having the heart rate up at all times, right? How have you kind of transformed in that regard when it comes to staying present and just, taking each day with what it may present?
Yeah, I think it just takes time, and it takes time to learn. But yeah, kind of like you said, just trying to stay present because you're going to fail in this game.
Yeah.
This game's full of failure, and just being able to be okay with failure and just trying to learn from it is a big piece when you go up in levels, because each level presents new challenges.
Yeah.
And being able to be okay with not having your best stuff and being okay with failure, and it's a good way for you to just take the next step in your baseball kind of career. But like I said, it just takes time.
Yeah.
Last year, I didn't really think anything about the mental game. Just go out there, pitch, did well, yay. If not, I get mad.
Right.
Kind of similar to how I was in college. And then this year, which I really think it helped me take a step forward, is just being okay with the results and just trying to learn from it and go out the next outing and turn the page.
This is a long season, man. And if you think about, and if you let those relatively speaking rough starts, kind of ruminate and hang out for a little bit, that can take some days away in terms of, pushing forward and being positive for the next one. Did you hit, kind of like a point where you found yourself angry or, sad after a certain start and it was like, I can't feel this way anymore because we're doing this every day for 6 months?
Yeah, I really think rehab at the beginning of the year kind of helped me get through that, just because you're literally showing up every single day during rehab, and I missed the first month and a half of the season.
Yeah.
It really just helped me figure out, who I was and, how I was going to be this season. Because when you're in rehab, it's really tough because everyone shows up and they don't want to be there.
Right.
And so trying to figure out, okay, like, how am I going to attack this day? I got to get better somehow. I'm here, so let's get after it. So yeah, I do appreciate rehab. Rehab actually helped me a lot. Didn't want to be there, but
yeah, no, I
still help.
Understandable, man. And you come out of it guns blazing too. Like you logged a 2-2 in Altoona, and the fact that you were, that strong out of the gates, and you obviously parlayed Eastern League Pitcher of the Month into a AAA call up and all that. But I want to go back to like the first couple of starts out of rehab, because obviously those are going to be closely monitored and those are going to be borderline sheltered. But the fact that you were successful in those was phenomenal to see. Did you, understand that and kind of bring that breath of fresh air into those starts? And it's like, hey, I'm back on the mound. I'm doing what I love. And this is why I can go dominate.
Yeah, it was definitely a relief. My first rehab start was in Bradenton, and I was a little rocky during that because you struggle to trust your body
for sure,
especially after an injury. And the last really thing you feel on a mound was something that bothered you.
Yeah.
So this is really the first time you get on a mound in competition, where it's, healthy and just being able to trust yourself. But yeah, it was definitely a relief to get out there and put up zeros on the board and feel back to myself like I was.
Yeah. We're with Thomas Harrington. I want to go, kind of pitch by pitch through your arsenal. And I want to start with the fastball because, we talked about it, like it's the Seattle special or like the Joe Ryan special where it's low release and it's high carry, all that. When did you kind of lean into that? Was it something that you understood in college, or when it's, hey, you got to pro ball, you have a pretty unique fastball template, let's work on enhancing that?
Yeah, it was definitely a pro ball thing. In college, I threw a bunch of two seams. So when I got into pro ball, we switched to the four seam, and I realized, kind of what I had, and I had something special and really unique. And really just trying to optimize the uniqueness of it. Obviously, I don't throw upper 90s or mid 90s or anything like that.
Yeah,
so,
but that can play. And we see Joe Ryan carved to a 3 at 93, 94.
Absolutely, yeah. So just like understanding that like the 92, 94 plays, and just being able to locate that pitch up in the zone is a really big thing. And just like I said, just trying to optimize that uniqueness.
What does working on optimizing it look like? Because we had a chat with Chase McDermott, who's in Baltimore, and he said he like stuck a rod through a baseball and just worked on ripping it, like spinning it as hard as he possibly can. Is there a certain thing that you do to, like actually concretely optimize like that? Or is it, hey, I'm going to look at the TrackMan, I'm going to see how, this field plays on TrackMan, I'm going to see how this field plays on TrackMan?
Yeah. Definitely TrackMan plays a big part of it. For me, I'm just trying to stay away from the 130 tilt. That's like typically when I get to the 130 tilt, it's not as good. If I can stay, anywhere from like 1 to 115 is pretty good. But yeah, I also use a softball, and it's a really easy way for me to just see the backspin on the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really efficient, so it's really cool to kind of see the colors on the softball go back and forth. It's really cool. Yeah, it's like yellow and pink. It's a good tool for me to use. But yeah, that's just what helps me, and really just trying to stay behind the baseball, because the way my body works and my arm slot, and everything says, to throw, a ball that kind of has that last minute kind of fade action,
right? Instead
of the, dart that kind of bullets through the zone.
Right. Now, going to, actually you turn your hand both ways, but going to the slight supination, right? So I know you've got cutter shape and a slider shape too that's a little bit more sweepy. How do you kind of decide what to go to? Is that a feel thing in the bullpen, or is it, hey, this guy struggles with this type of pitch, this guy struggles with that?
Yeah, I think it's more of like a platoon pitch, honestly. The cutter plays much better to lefties, slider plays much better to righties. So typically that's kind of how I base it off of. If a hitter shows us something different in the swing or setup or anything like that, then we'll switch it up. But yeah, the cutter is mostly a pitch to lefties. I didn't even throw it. I haven't thrown it to a righty since I've been up here.
Got you.
But yeah, it plays really well if I locate it.
How have you gone about understanding swings? Because I know that's probably something that you just had pitching coaches pointing out, or hitting coaches even, pointing out in a dugout, whether it's college ball or like previously it's, hey, this guy does this. You might think about, going to this location. You might think about hard stuff, up and in, that kind of thing. Can you see things watching video in a guy's swing now?
Yeah, I mean, you definitely have some things that you look for. And, for me in the swing, I typically like to look for guys that dive over the plate. Because I want them to monitor the slider outside, and I'm trying to bang the sliders outside and then as soon as you step over and try to cover it, I'm going to bust you in. So like that's like the main thing that I look for in swings, because they do damage for me if they do get a heater on the outside part of the plate and they're diving. But yeah, it's just become a thing where you watch so much baseball that you start to understand, what guys are trying to do. And at the upper levels, guys are trying to slug a little bit more. So you're trying to figure out, how to stay out of the slug. So
yeah. How much baseball are you watching? Are you going home and watching the West Coast games, or are you, just like talking about, hey, I'm going to go watch video on the next guy. I'm going to go watch, video back from my previous starts?
Yeah. Video is like a really careful thing for me, because I watch a ton of baseball as it is. And so typically I'll try to watch minimal video of my starts, especially, a lot of times, like, I don't like to watch the bad stuff, so why even watch?
Right.
So, because I'm not, anyway, so, but yeah, I don't watch a ton of video of my starts, but I do watch a ton of video of the hitters for the upcoming week, so I'll start working on that within the next couple of days of just going through their lineup and, seeing which guys I can attack with my stuff and which guys I kind of got to be a little bit more careful.
Got you. You're a North Carolina guy. Give me your favorite hitter, favorite pitcher growing up. I would assume Braves country be North Carolina, right?
Yeah. I would say my favorite hitter growing up was Josh Hamilton, though. He was, he's a Raleigh guy, so, and was really good for a long time.
Oh, was a freak.
He's an animal.
That home run derby, a top 10 moment in like my childhood.
Yeah, so he was definitely my favorite hitter. My favorite pitcher was actually Roy Halladay. I actually think I pitched a little bit similar to him, just being able to kind of go to different parts of the zone.
Sure.
And yeah, he was a great pitcher, rest in peace, I guess.
Yeah. No, now, different parts of the zone, that's fascinating to me because, now you get a lot of guys that are 2-3 pitch arsenals, and it's, hey, my fastball's going to play at the top, my slider's going to play, right on right, working away, and then I'll go change up if I'm a righty to lefties. Do you feel like you can go to a bunch of different quadrants? Obviously, with the fastball, I'm sure you feel that way. With your slider, with your cutter, even with your changeup too. Do you feel like you can go to different quadrants, when you have it?
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely, it's not as easy as with the fastball. But yeah, I'm just trying to get to typically my best locations with those pitches as much as possible. And sometimes we'll try to backdoor a slider or cutter or something like that. If a guy shows that, it's open, early in the counts and stuff. But yeah, it's just a lot harder. It takes a lot of feel.
Yeah. When do you know that you have a certain pitch? Is it, bullpen pregame? Are you going to throw everything? Because you've got, 6 that you turn to at a given time?
Yeah, it's typically pregame bullpens. You kind of figure out what you have that day, what you don't have that day. Try not to put too much value in a pregame bullpen.
Right.
Just because, honestly, most of the time when they suck, you're out.
You're going to throw well.
You're out. It's really good. And it's the opposite. If your bullpens are really good, then you're probably going to get shelled that day. But yeah, just try not to add a ton of value into it. But that's usually when I figure out, what's feeling good, what's coming out good, what the shapes are looking like that day.
So if a certain pitch, say, isn't feeling good in a pregame bullpen, will you still, try and introduce it over the course of a start? Because you got, we were talking about it, 90 pitches to work with. Typically, you had 63 yesterday and 7 shutout. But, that's something that I'm sure you can slowly but surely work into the arsenal. And, hey, it felt good that one time in the third. Let's go to it in the fourth again.
Yeah, absolutely. I try to introduce it pretty early. That way I can kind of figure out, what it feels like that day. But yeah, it's just a matter of knowing what you have that day and working with whatever you got. That's pitching. And most of the time when you go out there, you don't have all 5 or 6 working for you. So you got to figure out, your 2 or 3 that are working that day, and you just attack.
Thomas, a couple more for you. You know, we're here. We're in AAA now. You've got, 3 AAA starts under your belt. In terms of checking boxes for yourself, and I'm not talking, hey, what boxes does the organization need you to check, or, certain coaching staff, members want you to check. What do you feel like you're really making strides on now that you want to continue to work through the end of September, really?
Yeah, and kind of what we talked about earlier is just the fastball. Continuing to be really good with the fastball is a big thing for me that I want to see myself kind of do over the course of the next month. But yeah, just be around those guys in the clubhouse, learn as much as I can. A lot of those guys have time up in the show.
Yeah.
So it's really cool to be around them and just talk with them about things, and they bring a different approach. All of them do. So, just figure out, how can those help me? How can they not help me? So, but yeah, it's just trying to enjoy my time here.
You've shared a clubhouse with Bubba and Ashcraft for a good chunk this year. You got Jared Jones, a couple lockers down in the clubhouse right now. I'm sure you've interacted with Skeens and Keller and them upstairs. This is as good of a pitching situation as there may be in Major League Baseball moving forward. How much does that fire you up to be a part of that and be a part of the stable of guys coming?
Yeah, it's really cool. I didn't even realize it really until spring training, and we had a bunch of those guys down there, and we're just like, wow.
I'm surrounded by lions.
Guys,
yeah.
We're really good, and we have a chance to do something super special. But yeah, just continuing to push each other is a big thing, and rely on each other for help when needed, and not being scared to ask questions. Yeah, it's awesome to be around those guys and be a part of something that can be really special.
What kind of questions are you asking? So Jones obviously is that low release, high carry. You probably have a billion fastball questions for him, right?
Yeah. So funny thing, I'm not going to give him any credit. He learned his fastball from me. But,
oh, nice. Okay.
But yeah, I can't give him any credit. But yeah, it's just trying to talking with Jones has got a great mentality on the mound, and really just a bulldog mentality. And it's really cool to see a guy that's a smaller guy that has an electric fastball. But really, what stands out to me about him is just being able to not be scared and kind of fearless on the mound. And that's something that we really need.
Yeah, I'm sure. Thomas Harrington, you're the man. Appreciate you taking the time.
Thanks, brother.